It is 4:30, Thursday, April 26th. I call this meeting in the Meridian Historic Preservation Commission to order. Roll call, Blaine Johnston. Here. Don Kronk. Not here. Josh Everts.
Present.
J.C. Jones.
Here.
Ella Kramer.
Here.
Ed Landis.
Here.
Councilwoman Ann Little Roberts.
Here.
Thank you. Adoption of the agenda.
I move we adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Jones, seconded by Commissioner Everts to adopt the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Approval of the February 22nd minutes.
Mr. President,
Commissioner Everts.
I move that we approve the February 22nd, 2018 meeting minutes as presented.
I second.
Motion by Commissioner Everts, seconded by Commissioner Landis to approve the minutes for February 22nd. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Approval of monthly financials.
Mr. President,
Negative,
Jones.
Ms. Ryder.
no. I move we approve the financial statement.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Jones, seconded by Commissioner Landis to approve the monthly financial statement. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Historical Society and History Center update. Just in time, Lila.
Timing.
Older, I think. It's very short. But I did find this at home. It's an old one the county put out. It's full of historic preservation stuff. So I'll let you take it, Blaine.
Okay.
But I want it back to go with the other historic preservation books.
Actually, that looks like Swan Falls.
Well, it has pictures in it, but the one on the last page is the infamous one of the irrigator. With his dress hat and his good shoes.
White shirt.
And a white shirt, and the day I said, "That's no farmer," he looked at me like I'd lost my marbles. And I said, "Where's his boots?" So, JCC.
It's a good one.
But you can pass it around, but eventually
Okay,
it needs to go on the shelf with the others.
we can do that. Set it right there. Thank you.
Thanks, Lila.
Didn't put it in the packet.
I put it in their packet, yeah, I pulled it up, did you wanna read it, or no? Okay,
I'll take the time.
okay.
So the report for April, Layla got to me today, so I put it in your guys' packet. It's pulled up now, but you can also read it on your
I
own.
told you it was short.
And then I included March's update from the Historical Society as well, since you guys didn't technically get to have a March meeting.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman,
if I may, if Lila would stand for a question, I'm very curious what the class was that the CWI student was doing.
You know, I don't know, but he was certainly baby-faced and chubby cheeked and decided maybe he'd write
Thank you.
They came with a few really basic questions, and that was it.
Thank you.
Maybe we should find out one class it is.
Thank you. Any other questions for Lila?
Josh, it's good to see you here.
Lila, it's fantastic to be seen anywhere.
So I can add to that next item if you're ready for that under.
Yep.
Report. The map collection and atlas. Lila and her folks have been pulling maps that they have in their collection, and we've been scanning them in one way or another and loading them as digital files. The plan is that Brian McClure actually volunteered to use his personal time to help us kind of clean up and geo-reference really specifically certain townships so that we can easily compare pages and actually create a atlas of Meridian maps. So some of those are from Ada County, some of them are National Archives, some of them are Sanborn maps, but essentially it's a quick reference map book. I think we mentioned it, but it hadn't been a real item of discussion before. So I think what I need most from you guys is not only your formal kind of buy-in and support to do this, but also potentially we'd like to make, I think, at least 3 copies to start with. So one would be your guys' copy, one would be the Historical Society copy, and then one for the mayor's office? For the city, yeah. So we think we can do it on 11 by 17 paper and then get, archival paper so that it will last. I got some costs for that, but we could also potentially work with Greg from Modern Printers to do something that's potentially even spiral bound if that ends up being more affordable. Any thoughts on the Atlas project?
So your cost that you have listed, is that for bound?
So
Just the paper?
So
Okay.
you're the only one with notes, Blaine. Everyone else
Okay.
just has an agenda. So if you guys are interested, the archival paper and then getting like a pre-built portfolio from, I think I looked up Blick, which is an art supply provider. Those portfolios come standard with 10 pages, and each additional set of 10-page inserts is about $21. And then archival paper, we'd get, I think it was a ream of like 500. So it's plenty. So if you did just 20 sheets per book and the archival paper, it would be about $351 plus shipping for the 3 books together. And if you did 30 pages per book, it would be $414 plus shipping.
Did you check with Greg to see what his cost would be?
I have not had time to check with Greg yet, no.
Were those archival covers, or were they just paper covers?
We're archival, yeah. But Greg still might be able to print it more affordably here.
Still print it. That's just for the paper. Archival paper's not inexpensive.
Yeah, the paper itself is $61.
But if we supply him the paper, he'll print, you think?
No, I think if we asked him to print, he could even print on something more like our UV, like our brochure booklets.
We just need the 3 archival copies.
Okay,
We could go to regular paper,
okay.
and his kind of covers in spiral boundings and so forth.
So it would,
And it would open this way, but you might want to fold it this way in order to, but you could put facingly, so we'll start with the original survey maps done by the surveyors in the 1870s, which are not really, top quality maps, but they're what's available.
yeah, and so that brings up another point though too, is that that's the buy-in that I need from you guys. It would be great if I could have one of you kind of on hand that I could run some of these ideas by so that we can draft up something and not waste any of Brian's spare time and talents. So that if we liked the format, northbound here, or North Meridian here, southbound here, or if we need to break it up into northwest, northeast, southwest, southeast. Those are all things we're going to need to figure out, and that will have an eventual cost impact for the number of pages used.
And Greg can only bind it with the coil.
11 inches.
So we need to fix it. So we need to do a little playing to see if we can do it with 8.5 by 11 this way, or 11 by 17 this way.
I think 11 by 17, that way you can open it up.
17 would almost need that much space.
Yeah.
Mr. President?
Ms. Jones?
Hillary, I would be happy to discuss that with you if we're good to do that. I would prefer to go with Greg if we can, just so that we're supporting a local business with the money, just that's my personal preference. And Greg's always a really good partner for us, and I think he, absolutely, and I think he could probably help us with some of that. Are we talking about having it, though, to where there'd be a coil potentially running down the center of a map, or would we be placing it so that it would be?
Meridian Road would be on the same.
Meridian Road would be your, okay. So I think, maybe we could, if we're okay to form like a little subcommittee or whatever, we could work offline on that, but I would even, based on where our budget is right now, and we are, a good way through the fiscal year, I would be willing to spend more to get a good product here locally than shipping it out. And I think, too, on the time, if you're ordering from the other provider, Glick, I think you said, or something like that, I think you would have to assemble them, wouldn't you? So I would, and then in that, the city's paying you, so your time is of value as well. So I'd rather just have Greg take care of that rather than, because we are not gonna reimburse the city, I'd love to, we just don't reimburse the city for your wages. So I would rather your time be spent not assembling maps and doing things that are better for the taxpayers than that. So let's have Greg do that, would be my vote.
Well, I don't think any city in Idaho has one.
I don't think so either.
And there's potential too that this phase could be added onto. Lila and I talked about how, you could go through certain maps and list what businesses were in those stores at which time, other detail about property owners, stuff like that.
Once we get the format done, we can extend it to like the next subdivision or the next subdivision.
Will you scroll back to our financial statement for me, Hillary? So budget for printing promotional, 1,500. I think it's worth looking at going that far if we had to. To have a good product, something that we can be proud of, and if we're having it part of this larger event, the 125th anniversary of the city, it seems like we should have a good product, and I think it's worth having Greg work on some design work for us as well, so that we line that coil up in a way that is conducive to just the visual appeal of the product as well.
Well, that makes perfect sense to me.
Pictures, that could go on the front. On the back, in the middle.
Okay. So I'll work with JC for now to figure out some formatting stuff, and we'll get something going through Brian that we can show to Lila and make sure she's on board with it too, and then we can get some solid quotes to bring back to you guys as far as what it would cost to go through Greg.
Well, and I think you probably noticed we're gonna be 125 years old.
Mm-hmm.
On August the 18th, it would be nice if we had a dummy format to start with, maybe at that time, for our historical event project.
I'm 125.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Looking good.
Nervous.
Meridians,
Oh, Meridian. Okay, got it. Okay, I'm tracking now.
I'm not gonna be 100.
Thank you for that clarification. I got nervous. I'm sorry.
So if we want to just put that down as an action item,
You don't need a not to exceed yet.
but, yeah, right. So if you and Ms. Jones want to work together, create a format, I guess I'll trust you guys' judgment at this point in time, and then get a quote from Greg for printing, and I agree the spiral binding's nice, that way you can lay it open and look at it.
We also have the list of the homesteaders for each one of those sections, and the map that goes with the homestead records.
Okay? Works for me. Going to new business, Student Competition Award. Did everybody get evaluation sent in?
Did you get my, no.
Just got 3 people's scores. If you did send them to me and I just didn't get them entered in, I can look up my emails real quick.
I sent mine from work. It's not entirely impossible for our stuff to get pinged back, so
Really?
I need to send it from my other account for you. Either way. Why?
Did you guys all get a chance to see the stuff? And okay, so I think you're looking at either moving forward with deciding whether or not to award these 2 individuals in these 2 separate divisions, right?
May I ask probably an obvious question?
Yes.
So we only had 2 submissions. I think they were good and they were creative. I liked the video myself. I thought that was kind of creative and fun. In the instance, now obviously we didn't set a precedent for how we would handle this, really, I don't believe, but in the instance we have situations like this where there really isn't any competition, do we have to default and award the prize? Does that, not that I don't think that they are deserving of it, but I feel like part of that is it's the award for being the best, not default because you're the only one who submitted, and maybe do we need to change how we do it so that we get better interest? They were fine submissions. I'm not judging the quality. I'm just wondering how we manage the program overall. We changed significantly how we did it this year, hoping that it would appeal to a larger demographic, and we widened the age, and then we're accepting multimedia presentations in different mediums, and still only ended up with 2 submissions. So this is a good portion of our budget as far as outreach goes. Maybe it's something that we should look at differently for next year. I'm comfortable approving the 2 and issuing the award so for their time and their efforts. I just maybe would want to do something different next year.
I agree. I think we should go ahead and award them. Again, it's a work in progress. We got more this year than last year. We do it again. We massage it a little bit and hope for more submissions next year.
Yeah, I think that might be one thing that we should try to change is how we get the word out, because we did try to change that this year because we did so many more schools, so we didn't visit. But I don't think that at my school specifically anyone said anything. Like I tried to talk it up, but like nobody else was talking about it. And even like I emailed the career center lady directly and I talked to her about it, but she never put it out as a scholarship opportunity or anything. So I think that there's just that kind of disconnect where it's not getting to the kids from the schools. So I think that we need to think of.
You almost need to include a faculty member on your planning so that they know what's going on and what to expect. Because if the faculty members don't get the information from the people up above, they're not going to be pushing a student to do it.
Well, and that was my thought. I know last year you guys visited the high school.
Although I visited like 19 elementary schools. Like I physically went there. So I didn't go there with just that being the only item, and I was delivering other materials at the same time, so I don't know if maybe the competition got lost in the here's other stuff message. But I was surprised about that for the elementary schools, that there wasn't more. And it was perfectly nice visits, but at the same time, that is shocking to me that I was able to speak and give them materials and have that not go further than that. Because I think Elle is exactly right. I'm not sure that the students even knew that it was happening. So we need to change maybe how we market, and maybe social media or get it on Twitter, something like that. Maybe that is the way to go. Maybe we need to have a student organization sponsor the event so that they're already having the followers of that age group, as opposed to us tweeting it on our page or even having the city retweet it. Maybe it's something that MIAC hosts, or maybe it's something that we partner with the local honor society, or we could go younger than that and go Cub Scouts or Girl Scouts or somebody so that is the group that's providing the communication.
I like the MIAC suggestion.
And I think, I mean, I don't know what their programming is like. I know that they're always volunteering and so that they're really busy, but we didn't reach the students. So we have to change that for next year. Great job to the two that participated.
I agree.
Great.
They put a lot of effort into it. It wasn't just a simple little project for them. They put some thought behind it, and so I appreciated the effort that they put into it.
I'd love to see both of them on the city website or on the history.
Yeah, we could even put the video on our Facebook. That'd be cute.
It was cute. It was cute. I have no idea how they did that. I don't have any clue how to do that, so it was very, very, very cute. You need a motion?
Yep.
Well, then, Mr. President, I move that we award our 2 submissions for the Student Competition Awards to our applicant Bodley and applicant Kramer.
I'll second that.
Motion to approve the submissions by Kylie Bodley and Laura Kramer for the student competition. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next item, our next historic preservation plan, 2020 to 2015. So our current plan expires 2020.
At the end of 2019.
Okay,
More than anything, I just want to put this on your guys' radar to say that, remind you, if you didn't already know, that your preservation plan does have, generally, you update it every 5 years. I think the last one was 2014, so it really wasn't that long ago, but just wanted you guys to know that it's something that can be an updated document. So if you haven't already looked at it recently, take a look at it again, go through it and see what you think needs to remain and where you think it needs to be amped up, and then we can have conversations about this in the next couple months. Blaine, I don't know if you have anything additional you want to...
Nothing of substance. I just know that as fast as we are growing, and I don't see it slowing down, that we do need to take a look at this and put, if it's possible, some of the stuff we've been talking about, photographing old buildings and stuff like that into our plan, so that's record of what we want to do.
Sorry, Mr. President. In addition to that, the State Historical Society recently released their newest strategic plan, so that gives us an opportunity to see what they're doing and then help us align some of our future plans with them, because they're grant givers, and that could help us get a little further too.
Is that online, do you know?
It's online, yeah. If you want, I can send you guys a copy of our current strategic plan and a link to their strategic plan.
Why don't you? I think I've got the current one, but I don't know if anybody else does. City picnic, Thursday, June 14th, 5:30 at Kleiner Park. You're all invited. Do
you need RSVP on that?
I don't need it. If you guys would RSVP to Laura Lee, her email address is at the bottom of there. Great.
Item D, Meridian Masonic Temple interested in our walking tour stop.
Yeah, so somebody from the Masonic Lodge contacted myself about wanting to be added to the, originally I thought it was the downtown business side of the app. but he was interested in either or. So I don't think that the lodge is a member of the MDBA, but they had a lot of, reason why they were interested in being included as a stop on the digital side. So maybe not the print side, but I don't know how you guys want to handle requests like that or how you'd like to handle this request.
The building was built in 1957. Earl was a master of the lodge when they moved in and during the building project. So it fits the timeline criteria.
Okay,
Off the top of my head, I'm not able to answer some questions, but Earl and I were not married at that time, but I did belong to the local Eastern Star Lodge.
They did send us this little write-up. I think they did a celebration or something, and they did a little write-up and sent it to us. I can zoom in on it if you guys wanted to read it, but
I agree. It does meet the time frame for history, because it is over 50 years old now, and it is of cultural significance to the city.
The chamber used to have its annual awards banquet there.
So I don't know.
Now we go to Wahoo's. True story.
Mr. President?
Ms. Jones?
I'm comfortable, I think, when we get these requests, if they meet sort of that basic requirement for at least adding them to the app initially, I think we should compile a list, and then when we update brochures the next time, include them, and we just did a giant reprint, so it would be a bummer to have to redo that for the
Right.
print purposes. But I think it's good, because if anything, it means that somebody's noticing what we're doing and they want to be a part of that. So I think we get them involved in the electronic piece now. That doesn't cost us much, or maybe it costs us nothing because Josh has magic powers and can do it, but. Yeah, I think that would be fine, and if we have other requests from that, I think, 50 years is such a basic requirement that so many more buildings, I think, could be included in that. So I think expanding it on the app is A-okay.
How hard is it to add another?
Thoughts?
Nothing, super easy.
Okay.
Yep.
So with that basic information, we get a picture of it, we can just add it.
Mr. President,
Mr. Evers?
the only thing that I would mention as far as walking tour app, not that this should be an issue and stuff like that, but as we're expanding, like the walking tour has kind of been a constrained geographic area. I think we're going to end up with things like we're trying to push Hungry Onion, as a historic place, getting some recognition. Speedway, you get things that are sort of now crossing major roads and stuff like that. Do we want to put any boundaries on the walking tour, especially if we're going to have prizes and stuff associated with it? It doesn't matter in this case since it's right in the heart of us, but I didn't know if we need to think about additional criteria where we, bound Old Town. I don't want to leave anybody out. I just want to think about what's going to, long term. Things are going to fall in that 50-year window that are unintended.
Oh, and some of those things are outside the walking tour distance, walking.
Right.
I mean, I can't walk a block, so it's a real issue,
I hear you.
right? Truth, preach, testify. Not to be decided here. I think
No, we do probably need to put some sort of boundary on it.
I love JC's idea of, put together some basic criteria, the 50-year, the real easy things, and add it to the app because that's super easy. That's going to take all of 15 minutes. And then we compile those things as we go, and the next time we do a big print, then we're engaging with our photographer, we're getting a picture taken, and then we add them to, the printed piece.
Just do a listing of those that also qualify, but are outside the boundaries. List them with a street address and a year.
Well, we are putting things that are outside the boundary. Like if we're going to do the irrigation piece, that's outside of Old Town, so that's no longer a walking
Right.
thing. So we're opening up the aperture already, and I don't think we should limit it. My 2 cents is anything that is in Meridian that we want to include in the app is a really, really smart thing. We just need to think about.
On a walking tour to historic properties.
Why couldn't you do like multiple walking tours.
You can.
Like
We have
there's-
2 right now.
Right.
Yeah, we got the historic tour, and then we've got the MDBA tour. So we could do,
Like essentially different routes. So it's all the historic walking tour, but
Yeah.
you now have the Old Town route or the,
yeah.
whatever from there.
Well, and originally the walking tour was split up into 2 different phases,
Yep, north-south, yeah.
north-south, and now basically it's one.
Yeah.
It started out as one.
Right. So,
Let's just think about it.
yeah, part of me says, yeah, we need to limit it, but part of me says, no, because we do have the Hungry Onion south of the tracks, the Speedway south of the tracks.
Yep.
Both of those, I think, qualify. They're over 50 years old. Culturally, there's significance to the city. But do we want to go south of the freeway? Although there's nothing there.
There's nothing there that's,
There's nothing else. I think the freeway probably sets that south boundary for us.
well,
Down to the Speedway.
Right.
well, I would move that we approve the Masonic Temple and adding them to the app. That seems like a really straightforward thing.
I will second with the comment that I think it is good to have a long-term conversation about establishing parameters for when we agree to these requests in the future.
Sharp cookie.
We have a motion by Commissioner Everts, seconded by Commissioner Jones with provision.
With modification.
With modifications to criteria for future additions to our walking tour. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Love it.
We'll go on to old business, National Preservation Month, telling stories of Idaho. Oh, if this property could talk, we distribute the signs on May 11th at 2 o'clock.
I can't remember if we established that 2 o'clock time period, but I put it on there.
What day of the week is that?
Friday.
It's a Friday?
I'm out of town.
You're always out of town.
I know.
Not much in the walking place currently. Sorry.
You have to
I
put
got all
you
the
on
I got all the signatures, right? I already delivered that to you. I'll make that my objective tomorrow.
I think the 2 o'clock works. I'll put it on my calendar so I can help distribute.
Have them already set up and
Okay.
tried to put in a little bit of an order so we can just,
Same as we did last year, we'll just put them on the cart, haul the cart around, set them out.
and the plan was, I think, to pick them up just that same night of the 24th, since we're gonna have hands on deck to grab
Yep.
them. So at the end of the ish, grab them and bring them back. If you guys want to figure out something, bringing the cart, we're going through a process, we can figure that out even the night of.
Okay. And remind us again, approval to put the signs out. Do we need that? From,
Just getting those signatures. and
well, but
already-
don't we need something from the city or ACHD?
Yeah, I've already applied for it.
Okay. Perfect.
Thanks.
Nice work.
Participating properties.
So this is the bigger conversation, I think, of your guys' agenda. We had 8 people respond to me about being interested in having their property open in some way. I'm thinking also there's 2 more that are owned by a certain individual in this room that might be interested in having their site open or business open.
I'll say yes for him.
Some of these people are really just, there was one, who was it, like the Idaho building, that's a office space type building, and they just said, we're gonna have the building open if people would like to come in. But essentially, like, closed doors are closed doors, so don't open any doors. The Rice Pharmacy, Casey Hess, is gonna have her shop open after hours, after normal hours, so it could even just be, hey, this is open after normal hours and it's on our tour, and come in and talk to you know. So I think it'd be easy enough to add Hop House and Vault on there. I put a big old question mark on the Hoyne building because I think that they may need to rescind their offer to have their shop open later. Shannon's been really sick, and she's been having her family cover, and they've got their own jobs and lives, so I don't want to put any more pressure on them. But the Gwen Alger from Something Special Antiques, I called her and verified with her today that she'd leave her shop open as well. So, and then this is just a draft of how do you want to share this information? How do you want to tell people that these places are open? How do you want to advertise and market this in the most effective way? Big old conversation.
The obvious answer, I think, is Facebook and Twitter, Instagram. I would hit Nextdoor if we use Nextdoor. If we could get Casey or Casey's team to blast it out from the city page so that, or share what we're sharing, that would be, I think, really good. And then if we can provide flyers to these businesses, like the businesses in downtown where people are regularly frequenting, like Josh's place, or like the Laugh a Latte place, Deja Brew over there, Flatbread, see if they're willing to have flyers up about it. Radiant Press, yeah. I always think the low-cost, cheap online stuff is a good way to go too, so we don't spend a ton of money on printing if.
We could ask the Meridian Press if they'd want to write, if they would be interested in writing an article, because then it's.
And do these. Yeah, show the pictures and what you can see. I would think that'd be great content for them.
It writes itself.
It writes itself.
Much.
Yep.
Yeah, plus I think with Facebook, making an event would be really good because I always get notifications when people are going to events. If there's an event, that would be good.
And we have great pictures.
Don't they look beautiful?
They're stunning.
Yeah.
Nice.
They're really nice.
So, though, if I add 3 more, so Hop House, Vault, and Something Special, that will change this layout a bit, but I can, if you guys are happy with this kind of setup, I can do the same thing. We could even put something more on the front of this. I just wanted it to look like, oh yeah, you guys are there.
Oh my gosh. Hey, when is that Dairy Days?
June 23rd is the Saturday of Dairy Days, so the parade is the 22nd.
You up for it again?
Yeah, but I'm gonna bring my 37 Ford out. We're not gonna ride a bike again.
Okay.
We're gonna drive the old Ford. That's old enough. That's over than 50. That's older than 50 years old. We can drive that. Ooga. Ooga.
So I can change this layout a bit. I could even just put these 4 pictures at the top instead of the Snodgrass picture, and then include some other property stuff down below.
Yeah. Or you could just drop those 4 pictures.
Or I could drop the 4
I
pictures.
kind of like the painting better
I do too.
than Blaine and I are awkward.
Here's something, though. I wanted to show off that there is also archives stuff, right?
Yeah.
That was part of the plan.
I don't want to do archives room tours. They're usually not open. Even the big archives don't open their rooms for tours when you go there usually. It's, one is because I don't have time. I don't want to come back in after dark,
Right.
et cetera.
And I like when we had the maps out in the foyer, we got some good input and interest from that. I think if we just concentrate on the walking tour and that sticks with the theme for telling stories of Idaho. I think that's going to be our best bet.
And we might do a teaser with the atlas.
Mhm.
If we could have a mock-up kind of ready by that time. Going up by May, we won't, but we're thinking by the centennial. By the birthday.
Mr. President,
Ms. Jones?
I guess my next question on this event would be what else we need to do. So we've got the properties identified, the letters have gone out, they're willing to participate. As far as communicating to the public, or do you need us to, I mean, do we need to, obviously, we should put it on our calendars and plan to stay and be a part of that event, but do any of these sites need docents, or are they're staffing it and they're willing to be available to answer questions, or should we be on hand to do that? Do you need help with, I don't know, are we gonna do a food of any kind? I mean, we've kind of done the cookie coffee thing in the past. I don't know, everybody likes cookies, but I don't know if it's worth spending the money on depending on what our attendance is. But I mean, really, is the next piece, and really the big to-do is just the communication piece?
It's all of those things.
Okay, good, very good.
I think some of the properties would be better served with a docent.
Okay.
Richard Norris's house would be better served with a docent because he only wants people to go into the front room and to come back out the same entrance. The Bell House, those guys have been really gracious, and they said people could tour their whole first floor, but it'd be better to always know that someone could have somebody there attending them, and that they could be asked questions, but they're not walking people through their house all night, you know. With some of those where people are going inside too, I know Dawn's done the Reservation Idaho tours before, but sometimes they provide like little booties, because if you've got that much traffic, it might just be nice to have some on hand if it starts mucking up their floors or anything. I don't know if you guys are interested in that. Another potential is that instead of having docents at the site, you could have those scheduled led tours and have groups of people go with you, and then for the most part, that's probably where most of the traffic will be. And then they could kind of, I mean, Richard is going to be there, Dennis and Jamie are going to be there, and it might take pressure off of them without be as invasive, and say like, okay, we've got our next group, here we go. But they could be expecting people outside of those groups throughout the night. So again, that's a communication piece. The Zamzos are going to have family members on site and are willing to take tours of their site. So they might be fairly independent. But if you haven't been on that tour, it would be fun to experience it as a commissioner. And Friends of the Pine Street School are also well-versed in being in solo, so.
I believe the last time that we did something like this last year, we opened Pine Street School, and I would love to hope that everybody will fall in love with Meridian history and we'll have a huge crowd, but as it's been historically shown, it tends to be like the commissioners, our families, and maybe like one or two friends. That's the reality. I think scheduled tours may make more sense just to be kind and respectful to the property owners, the individual homeowners. Now, obviously, it's different for the businesses that are open, and they could potentially make a profit or sell something during that time. But like, I'm thinking about our friends in the Bell House. I would hate for them to have to plan to be on call sort of all night long for the off chance that one person would walk through. Whereas I feel like if we said, okay, we're going to do this in a pattern, we're touring the Bell House at 5:30, we'll go from the Bell House to, do you know what I'm saying? Maybe we have a route and then we just take the group through. I think that could be less time intensive as far as volunteers and trying for us to staff it, and then also respectable, because we could tell the property owners, hey, look, we'll be at your house at approximately 5:30. We will get the group out by 5:45 and on to the next place. And I do realize that takes more time on the administrative planning side, but we just don't tend to have a large enough type of a crowd where an open house is respectful of their time. That's my feeling.
I agree. I think if we have guided tours, it's going to be respectful to those owners, and that's what we want to do. They're gracious enough to open up for us. We need to be nice to them.
And make it efficient and worth everybody's time and of value. I think some of these things, some of the fun is in the social aspect of it, and a tour like that where, you know, everybody meets at 5:30, maybe that's how we do it, is it's a hosted walking tour of these never before seen or rarely seen facilities, right? And we kind of guide a group through it, and we could maybe do like a 5:30 and then maybe like a 6:15 or something like that, so that if you can't be here right at 5:30, we kind of do it in, because most of this, I mean, you can walk the whole thing in less than an hour, even if we let people in and kind of walk around. I don't know. I think we should, if we're gonna talk about it in a communication piece, I think we should say the event begins at 5:30, and if you want to participate, plan to come, or we've never required signups. I always think signups are super nice. It's nice to be able to have an RSVP and have an idea of how many people, but we run into having people get interested anyways, so I hate to add one more barrier of like, now please give us your information in advance in case they don't. But like Zamzows is another good example of that. If their family's coming out and they're willing to share their history, for them especially, that is a very emotional and something that they're very proud of. That's their personal family history, and if they're going to be committed to sharing that, I want to make sure it's worth their time. So I'd rather have a scheduled tour, and if it's twice or if it's just once, and we take all the people that we have and go.
That way they can meet here and have parking, blah, blah, blah.
I'm thinking, my thought is one tour. We have one person leading the tour. The rest of us can be at the Bell House, whatever, to let people in. And then, like I said, they're there for 15 minutes, lead them on to the next house. And when you're done, you thank the property owners, and then who's ever at that house can either join the tour or come back here.
Is everybody available that night?
Yeah, I'm available that night, but the math isn't working out. So if we're 10 to 15
Doing
minutes,
it wrong.
we're 10 to 15 minutes at each stop, then we're 2 hours.
Yeah, so I think part of it may be narrowing the property list too. Maybe the business, not that the Hop House isn't great, I'm just.
No,
that one's
people aren't
open
gonna go in there.
regularly.
Correct. So is the
that
vault.
somebody can go in there and see it at a different time. It's beautiful, and like the vault's beautiful, but they could pop in there and see it. And I think they could pop in there and pick Josh's brain about it at their convenience. And not that I want to kick you off of the tour, I don't. I'm just thinking about in that concept, which of these properties is it harder to get into? And maybe that's how we do the tour.
And I'm super interested in seeing Dick's house. I got to tell you, so Lori and I helped him with some yard work about a month ago. There's treasure in there. That's where I want to be stationed because I want to go in there.
Well, then, do we want to limit the tour to just residences?
Or Zamzows. I think Zamzo, Pine Street School, Dick's Place. I mean, the Pyatt's are so sweet opening up Bell House. But that's going to be a quick, kind of walk through. I don't think you have to worry about Idaho Building, Rice Pharmacy. I don't know that you need to. Those are always open. They're businesses. So I would pick 5 interesting things on here. Do a 5:30, do a 6:15 tour, and just hit those 5 properties that you otherwise can't get into. Yeah, I agree with that.
And then we can always talk up, hey, afterwards, if you need something to do, go
if you
over to
want
the
to
Hop
drink.
House
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
get to see that one too.
Yeah.
And not that, and if Casey over at Rice Pharmacy, if she's very attached to being a part of the event, then I would want to include her. I don't know how much business she gets. I don't know what her revenue is like, but maybe that could be helpful for her or something if she's already attached and we've reached out. But I would say, maybe it's Clara Hill, the Norse House, the Bell House, Zamzows, and Pine Street School, and maybe that's it. Now that you've done all this extra legwork, we're going to rethink our complete plan. And
Now that we've asked them to open up their properties
rug out
to us,
from
we're going to
under
say,
it. Yeah.
never mind, we don't want your.
well, and so maybe we could do it twice. Maybe it is a 5:30 and we hit 5 of them, and then the 6:15 is the other 5, and people can stay for the whole thing if they want. I don't know. Or we can scrap this whole idea and it's a free-for-all and we just provide docents at each location. I'll put that back on the table. Sorry.
We could do the 5 properties in detail and then list maybe on this page, get rid of these and say these businesses are staying open after hours. Please feel free to check them out.
Love it. Winning. Do it. Engage. I motion that. Does that need a
They're
motion?
still included, but not included.
Yeah.
Because they don't need a docent.
No.
No, and you can include all the businesses in there. Except that vault place. Too many customers right now. No, I'm joking. You can put it on there.
I apologize, Hillary. I'm
Yes.
rethinking that at this point.
I apologize for her also.
There is no apology for me. Come on.
So then do we want to do,
But I am available. Going back to your question earlier, I'll be there. I can tell a story, spin a yarn, yap, gab, pontificate.
do the businesses on the first tour at 5:30? And then go back to the houses at 6:15?
I think you do 2 house tours, one at 5:30, one at 6:15, and then just let people know that these other businesses are open, and that you can go in there either before or after a tour if you want to check them out, and not worry about touring the businesses.
Okay.
2 house tours, throw a couple of us in each house tour. We can play docent. Leave somebody here. I can smoke on the patio out there. And if there's any stragglers, I might do a third tour. Councilwoman Roberts, any inputs?
No, I think it's a great idea.
Genius. Thank you for your support of JC's idea.
Is everybody comfortable if you were to be a docent at a property? Are you comfortable? I mean, do we all know enough about these properties to answer questions? So that would be the next thing
That was
is
the other issue, yeah. So
study
I
up.
You'd have to study.
Yeah, I
it.
don't know
I
anything.
thought,
I'm
wouldn't it
fully
be nice-
qualified to give all these tours.
Yeah.
I thought, wouldn't it
Lila
be nice
knows I
if
make
it came
stuff
up
up all
with
the
like
time.
a one-page info thing that anybody could have, but I don't have time to create these one-page info things.
Don't worry about
If
it.
someone else would like to do that and write up some notes for everybody, you could, or you could just
Wing it.
Wing it. Whatever.
If everybody takes the walking tour brochure with them, theoretically, you've got enough.
And you have Lila's video in the app.
Yeah, watch the video.
And don't let Dinkner start talking.
No, you can't. It'll be all over. You'll be there for 4 hours. And I love me some Dick, but I'm telling you, you'll be there forever. What? Easy. Lock it up, Bodner. Did that just go live over the live stream? Yeah, you can go ahead and trim that out and put it in my highlight reel when I wear off this mortal
It's
coil.
all right, outtakes.
This is why I can't run for public office. Such a disaster.
No filter.
People appreciate
Do they?
realness. So
Do they?
Sorry, really quickly, going back to the other archive stuff. Lila, you don't want to do any archives things, or do you still want to pull out some maps and maybe have,
We could pull out things to show us the rest of the environment, but not to open the archive.
oh, yeah, not the basement,
No.
not even your back room. We don't have to let people in there. If we could just have the History Center doors open and then maybe have some easels up with the maps, that was a pretty popular thing last year.
We have the new picture,
Yeah, that big picture.
and we have, but they love the old maps.
Mm-hmm.
And I have one great big one at home that's out of messages, which I think they would like.
Cool.
That is our regularly scheduled meeting time, or day, I believe. So can anyone be here an hour early, at least to set up?
And I can, Lila, if you don't want to be here or worry about coming back, we can pull stuff on Wednesday.
I think that's the day I host the gifted and talented fifth grade music students from Hillsdale.
Yeah, so I can,
And I don't know what time of the day that's gonna be yet. That's because they want to come and play on the piano instead of the electronic box.
so I think maybe on Wednesday when you're here, we can pull up the maps on our own.
Okay, well, we have pretty large copies of them already on here.
Yeah.
If we can pull the maps and easels, can we set them in here, like on Wednesday?
My office.
Your office?
Here. Yeah.
Then, real quick,
Right after your guys' meeting, set them up.
yeah,
I think that would be fine.
okay.
Yeah,
cool though.
I can come early.
So, for clarification, though, I apologize. Are we having our regular meeting? I thought that we were. So when you're saying an hour early, are you saying 3:30?
3:30.
Okay,
Yeah.
So we'll be here at 3:30 to set up
Stuff.
okay.
some quick
And we'll have-
setup, quick regular meeting, and then we'll adjourn and do.
Maybe on our very quick regular meeting, we could have one of the items, everybody clear on what your assignments are tonight, so that we are very super presentable at 5:30 when our friends get here.
Dress code?
Yes.
Because I'm not going to go home and change.
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay, good, good, excellent.
Are we all clear on what we're going to do?
Yes, sir, Colonel.
So still, though, back to to-dos that need to happen. I apologize.
It's okay.
So as far as then communication, do you, as Nextdoor, I don't have Nextdoor. Do any of us commissioners, do you want to?
I can post an event on Nextdoor,
Okay.
but I don't know how to do, like, are we sharing individual details about each property of what we're doing on Nextdoor?
I
Just
think-
saying, like, come to the event, learn about these.
I think
5:30?
just the event.
And then Facebook event, 5:30, 6:15 walks, as well as an archive tour in the lobby of City Hall.
Do you need assistance with that?
I think I've got it. I've been trying to kind of tease on Instagram too. I've been sharing pictures from Jason and saying like there's an event coming up. So I'll just make sure I'm posting all the ones of photos that are, all the photos of ones that are going to be on tour.
And do we want to do food of any kind? Like I said, we've done cookies, just skip.
No, skip it.
Skip refreshments. We'll open up City Hall, have this be sort of where we start, gather the crowd, and then go from there. Yes.
Roger.
Yep.
We have some, I don't want to say old, but some bottled water that from another event, so I can pull that out in case anybody wants it.
I would say let's bring that out.
Does water get old?
Required by law to have a date on it, but
Yeah.
it doesn't go.
As long as the seal's not broken, we're good.
I mean, I don't drink it, so I didn't know if it.
Look, I don't think it gets a lot of UV exposure, but I'll check. And do you guys care, or do you want to set any spending limit in case there's something like, in case a resident says, I do want to have booties or something? Yeah,
To exceed of 200?
I think it would, yeah, I think that's plenty.
I would think so.
Then I will move for a not to exceed amount of $200 for food for the May event.
I'll second that.
Food and booties.
Oh, yeah, booties too. Food and booties if necessary for the May event.
I have a size 15, so if we do end up doing booties, let's make sure we have big people feet.
One size fits all.
Not about my foot size, but
Okay. I'll work, if it's okay, I'll just work with Blaine to verify any purchases if
Beautiful.
needed.
you have to vote on that, Turbo?
You guys already made your motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you didn't call
I
for
know.
yea or nay.
We have a motion by Commissioner Jones, seconded by Commissioner Everts, for not to exceed $200 for refreshments and booties for our May event. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Just one more time, I just want to be really clear. Does everybody know what they're doing on the 24th? Does everybody, I'm sorry.
I will send you an email.
You all are going to be glad that I covered that because
Yes.
you guys would wake up and go, what are we doing tonight?
Yeah.
So, got you.
And Hillary, call me that day, make sure I'm here.
I was going to say, let's, if you can,
I'll get your wake-up call.
just,
Thank you.
Me.
just shoot us an email.
Today's the day.
Yeah. Can you just shoot us all an email on just a schedule, Hillary?
And a reminder email.
Put it in your phone. Make it
So
calendar.
terrible. I'm trying to get fired. doing a
You
poor
could
job.
even make it to the video shoot.
I was there. Do you see how sexy I looked in that video?
We're still live streaming, my friends.
What did I say? Walking tour coins.
Walking tour coins.
That's all that you guys made your video, and if you haven't already seen it, you've got to share it.
Yeah, please share it.
Oh, I shared.
And I haven't gotten any scorecards back. So as soon as I do, then I'll put it on your guys' agenda and let you know in advance if someone's going to be coming out to claim a coin.
Okay.
Logos in June, because we're not going to meet in May long enough to review it.
Okay.
Plus, I need time. Thank you.
Contract for photography services for historic buildings.
So I drafted up a request for proposals, but I have a lot of questions for you guys because I think it's really should be your guys' input that helps construct this. So I took a previous RFP and kind of reiterated it into something that seemed usable and applicable to us. There's comments included here. I don't know how much time we all need. I had this ready in March, so the dates are definitely going to be off. But if you haven't already reviewed it, you need to do that before we can take any action.
I did read it, Hillary. I think the standard is 30 days. So as far as that date goes, just whatever date we launch it, just give 30 days to respond. And I didn't see anything in there. I thought the 1 year period was good as far as the award, and everything else looked good to me. I know I didn't respond back to you, but I did read it.
I think as long as once we have a contract in place, we'll know when it's going to expire, so we can be prepared to either, put out another request for proposals and either end up awarding the same person or awarding someone else if need be.
Yeah, and I think keeping it simple, Mr. President, is better. Because
Yes.
the one comment I was going to make was adding like an option year on it to save us work, but I feel like it's a small enough thing that it's not a big deal for us to run the competition again. My expectation is we're probably going to get no more than 3 responses to this. So, yeah. I think we're good running it 1 year at a time.
Okay.
Mr. President,
Yes.
if I can make a comment to Hillary in answer to your question on the contract.
Thank you.
I did chat with both Bill and Emily. Evidently, Emily did prepare this agreement. We think it's good to include with the RFP as a sample, just take the name, the specific name out and leave blanks. And as an idea for the 1 year term, you can save yourself some grief by just inserting a renewable at the option annually, a mutual agreement of both parties. You can renegotiate rates, but if you'd prefer to go back out, then you can terminate and go back, or let it terminate and go back out. So you can you build some flexibility into that, either in the RFP or when you're negotiating with the selected party.
Okay.
And we're allowed to do that?
Yeah, it's professional services. You legally for professional services, you could just go out and choose somebody.
Oh, okay.
This is seen as more transparent, more fair.
Okay.
Possibly getting better quality, more options is putting it out there saying, hey, show us what you got, we need some help. But if you knew, if you knew of somebody, you could go do that. But I think the city council likes us to engage in this process so that we have a fair selection for everybody.
Okay.
I think at this point, Hillary, if you can do the wordsmithing you need to do, do we contact photographers? Do we just put this out? How do we get a hold of photographers to do this? I guess is my question.
So I think before you guys had mentioned creating kind of like a post on Facebook and saying or request for proposals. We could also, if you wanted to go as far as putting it on Purchasing's website, we can put it on Purchasing's website. But I think more than anything, it's it can have a space to live there, but they're not gonna have these services on their email lists or anything. So it's up to us to kind of reach out and make sure that people are getting it so that they have a chance to see what we're asking for and respond. I think using, again, the social media platforms is a good way to spread the word.
Okay.
Share with your networks, because some of you may know people that this could work really well for. They might know people, et cetera, et cetera.
I'll leave that up too.
Yeah, no, I would think that we've got a couple photographers in downtown Meridian. So, I mean, obviously, Jason at Hill is going to respond to this because he did the other properties. But I'm going to go talk to that photographer that's on Idaho there across from the vault, her gallery and everything. And she might not respond. It's not really her thing, but I'm going to, you know.
And Rosie Neri might want to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I think that's fine for promotion.
So we good on the contract?
Ted, do I need any motion for them to say it's okay that we put this out, or does it matter?
Mr. President, and Hillary, I think you've received input. Formal motions not required. You will have probably a formal motion to make the award at that time. So I recommend that in the future.
So I'll move forward cleaning it up and making sure everybody in cities clear with it, and then I'll make sure to send it to you guys first, and then
Okay.
start pushing it out.
Meridian History course.
So the Meridian History course is officially in the summer activity guide, so people can sign up for it through the activity guide.
Okay.
Amy and Linda, I need to verify, but all of the instructors in the activity guide have kind of instructor agreements related to that. So their agreement is essentially tied to that same format. I did contact them. I can't remember off the top of my head what you guys had okayed for their pay, essentially, or their stipend, but they were content with that. So I'll make sure to tie in with legal and make sure that we've got everything in place with them. I'm still working to confirm with the Zamzos who can offer a tour of the mill for that class in the morning. We were going to do for that particular class a mill tour and a Pine Street School tour in the afternoon. Mayor Tammy already has it on her calendar, so it's more or less reshaping the content that Amy and Linda have already taught in a way that's more geared to the general public versus teachers. So I think we're on the right track. And that is scheduled, I think it is June 14th. It's a Thursday.
Okay.
We asked $10 for registrants and that lunch would be provided, and kept it pretty simple.
Okay.
You had already given a dollar amount, a not to exceed for that, and we said Jimmy John's and just order what people want, get orders from people in the morning and have it ordered by afternoon.
Okay.
We're on the right track.
Sounds good.
Again, that if you guys want to share that information, it's the activity guide, and there's links all over the city's website for that.
Meeting with the Bass Museum, I've talked to them a little bit on their storage and what they're doing. They're still in the process of doing some permanent stuff, but what's interesting for them is they are going around and doing an oral history of all the Basque families from Montana to Nevada. So they're getting all this recorded, so they have this oral history, so kind of what Ella was doing. So trying to figure out how they're doing all that storage. And when they get that figured out, I'll bring that back to us so that if we continue our oral history portion and know how to store it and keep it.
Wayne, can I insert? That all needs to be put in
Right,
So that also would involve people who could do all the typing of those interviews
okay,
in the long run.
right. Yeah, because a lot of these, the old people that they've interviewed speak Basque.
Yeah,
So they had to transcribe it from Basque to English.
find somebody who could do both.
Mm-hmm. Area-specific surveys. I know that, again, as fast as we are growing as a community, we are losing property and some houses. I think more than anything, just we need to keep an eye on, and if we have something that we need, like tagged to go out and do a survey on, for us.
Kathy, me again.
Quite all right, Lila.
The tag people are really involved doing the entire bench. If we go back and take the patterns of the past, the book, and pick out the Meridian area things in it and make a Meridian area guide for that, it should give us all of the historic properties up to that point. The ones that would fall in the last 50 years wouldn't be in that. But anyway, that's where we are with tag at the moment.
Okay.
I just talked to him last week. So it would be probably 6, 8, 10 months down the road.
Right.
Mr. President, and this might be something too that you just want to include or consider as part of your next strategic plan installment, if you are really looking for something intensive. I know during the Heritage Conference, some people had talked about doing almost like working really closely with the community development team and saying, okay, as these buildings between Carlton and Fairview on Main Street open up, this is the kind of stuff we'd love to see here. We'd love to see this kind of architecture continued or whatever. Like, it's really creating almost more of a, you could make it as complex as you want to make it, or you can make it as simple as you want to make it.
I'm trying to think what they did in Boise. It's not a historic district, but where the CVS was supposed to go in on State Street. They created a neighborhood that, I can't think of what they called it, but it wasn't a historic district, but it was a historic something, and I have to go back and look and see. I think that's kind of what we want to do on this downtown, because we don't have enough properties that could be listed. I think you have to have 50% of the properties eligible to be listed on the National List of Historic Places to create a historic district. We don't have that, but we can create this area that say, okay, this is what we want to try to preserve in the downtown or on Pine Street.
Next steps forward, what do you want to do? Pursue that? Or do you want to figure out an area? Do you want it to be Main Street? Do you want it to be the neighborhood just west of Meridian that kind of has a lot of mid-century homes?
I think that's probably the area, is just west of Meridian, going toward the middle school. I know that you've got it on here as one of our current applications, but there was a house that was recently demolished. Don't laugh. Because I wanted to try and at least get pictures of it beforehand. But in that, and I'll probably skip forward a little bit, Hillary, if that's okay. On that subdivision, their lots don't fit the character of the rest of the lots in that subdivision or surrounding subdivisions. So that was my question is, do we want to be able to, when those applications come up, say, as a group, and maybe you can answer that for me, we're not a regulatory commission. We don't have the power. But if these applications come up and say, okay, you're putting 12 lots in an area that has 8 lots around them, can we as or me as president or Josh as vice president, go to a planning and zoning commission and say, HPC has reviewed this plat. We're not trying to discourage your growth, but what you're doing does not fit the surrounding area.
Sure. Mr. President and members of the commission, yes to everything. It's all possible. The public hearings, there's no squelching of free speech. You're welcome to represent yourself. If you get support from the commission, you can represent the position of the commission. I think your approach is good, that you're not trying to cause problems. You're just pointing out the historical nature of the site of the application. Another option is to have the commission approve a letter signed by you that you can submit to the city clerk that's in the record ahead of time. You can do that and testify, be available to answer questions. So
Okay.
there's nothing to prevent that.
Okay.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Anna Roberts.
we love information. So I would say we love hearing, the council loves hearing from our commissions. And so I would say things like that are very important. If this commission feels strongly about an area and has an opinion, we would definitely be privileged to hear it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
When they tore down Postie's store down here, the city had a picture of it that they took before, and that, I believe, was in P&Z's office, so you might check and see if they have photos of these properties,
Okay,
because they did of that one, but then that's been shortly after we moved in here. Because Mayor Postie, it had a grocery store down and it was torn down with the city's approval, and they had taken a picture. So you might check to see if they have a photographer who's doing that still.
okay. Yeah, just to go back for, if nothing else, we have record of what was there. Like I said, I don't, we can't discourage growth. We don't want to. At a minimum, like I said, get photographic evidence of what used to be there.
And basically every old house in town has had new windows put in,
Right.
so there you go.
Okay, I went on my rant. National Registry. 917 North Main.
These two properties were brought up by Dan Basilone, who's already talked to Lila Hill.
Enlarge it so I can see a little bit.
Yeah. We're talking about Potter's Tea House, used to be Hubcap Annie's, and new design architecture. These two buildings are owned by Dan, and he was just interested in seeing if or how or what qualifications they could fall under. So clearly, they've been renovated a lot and might not fall under
Neither one of them will fit the project.
No.
any architectural qualifications, but if there's significant person or story associated with that, that's something that you guys could explore further. And
Building was a surge plant, was not surge, it was
Service.
Val on the south side of the picture for me would be the one bordering Pine Street. The other end was the service bay for Meyer Oil Company 60 years ago.
There's nothing,
The Central Park was the oil company.
Right.
Filling station.
yeah.
The ground around it, I understand, is filled with oil. And having lived across the alley from it, I know that the water came up with a funny sheen
Just go below the sheen and you're good. I drove past both of these properties, and just because of the work that's been done on them, they wouldn't qualify for listing. Architecturally,
The stories aren't there.
yeah,
They won't qualify for the registry.
right.
Okay, great. So I'll tell Dan that they won't qualify for the register. I think he's still interested in, he said if they didn't qualify, or if you didn't think they would qualify, he was still interested in maybe getting some signage and installing that on his own that would say something about whatever history he can find on those places, just so that it can somehow be captured there.
Okay. As far as other properties,
I got asked about the other buildings.
I did meet with the owners of the Hungry Onion. Originally, there were 4 of them in the valley. That's the only one that's left. All the others have been demolished. The current owners bought it from the 2 sisters that originally built the Hungry Onions. There have been some modifications to the drive-in portion of it. But the owner is really looking at trying to do some work and put it back the way it used to look. It used to have diamond-shaped shingles around it, and he would like to put those back if possible. And architecturally, it doesn't qualify for listing. I think culturally it does for the city. One, it's the only last of the Hungry Onions that were built. And 2, it's been around Meridian for 50-plus years. I think it was built in 1958. So, Lila, I know you have an opinion. So,
It's a wonderful building, it was a wonderful asset, and my main memory of it is that Carol always kept the coffee on because that's where the kids went to sober up before they went home.
right. So,
Carol and her mother were the second owners.
okay. So if it's worth pursuing that further,
It ranks high in the memories of kids who went to high school here.
right.
I think maybe we need to create a listing of locally historic but not registerable, whatever we want to call it.
Okay.
Call it Old Time Meridian or something to designate, and that would probably include the Herman and Knightsville Garage, which is the other building.
Mm-hmm.
Murray's building, the Meyer Oil Station. And there are several of them like that that have been modified that still pertain into the old histories of Meridian. So you might want to just put it on your think about it.
Okay. We'll create an action item for those.
Did you guys talk to the Speedway too? I couldn't remember.
Yeah, we just said, so they just said we can stop over anytime. So I will get Blaine's calendar aligned with my calendar. We'll go over and talk to them. They're really great. I just left the country.
You haven't returned.
By the way, and we got out of Nicaragua before 28 people were killed, like in 4 days, so it's burning down right now. I didn't cause it. I just want to go on the record.
You weren't the instigator?
I wasn't an instigator, not in that instance.
Okay, fine. We'll go on to current applications. Creason Creek subdivision. Hillary doesn't remember why she put that on here.
I don't remember why I put it on here. I pulled it up again. Let me switch these presentation views really quickly.
Adding work that we don't know about.
So I added this, I'm not quite sure why. So I think it was because it was off of Linder and Eustick or something, and I thought there was a property nearby there, but looking at it again, I didn't see that. It looks like some of these housing units already exist. I didn't see a structure anywhere over there, so we can table or ignore this item, essentially. Don't need action on it.
Can you enlarge that? That's Eustick and Linder. So that is the southwest corner,
I think it's the southeast.
southeast corner of Linder, Eustick.
Like I said,
There it is, middle school is right there.
it's further north.
I'd have to drive by it.
Like I said, I don't think that you guys actually need an action on this item.
Is that the
I
one
included
that's
it.
got the farm right there on the corner?
It's already,
taken
it's
out?
already been,
Removed.
everything's already been demolished. It's just land now, yeah.
Okay.
This is Linder Road down below on the bottom. And then Eustick is running here. As I said, I don't think you need any action on it. This is your next one,
The
sorry.
next one is the Cherry Blossom, which is the house that was removed. And I drove past it and I saw the house
A week ago?
a week ago, and the house was there. It's not now.
The public hearing for this was also moved to, I think it was the 17th of May. I think more than anything, this project might just bring up the fact that having a photographer in place is really, would be very beneficial to you guys. But it also brings up, you know, sometimes those photographers are going to be needed before you guys' next meeting. So that will be something for you to address before you release that RFP, is who has authority to ask the photographer to go take pictures of something. Anyway, if you'd like to continue talking about this project, you're more than welcome to, Blaine.
Well, this is the one I was looking at, that if you looked at the final plat, the lots are a lot smaller than everything else that surrounds it, so that's why I was mentioning, you know, can we, as a commission, look at it, say, you know, it doesn't fit, and I understand that they're trying to get as much in there as they can because it costs so much to build and for them to make a profit, so it's a touchy situation for us as to where we want to stand and what we want to do. It's just a little infill subdivision.
It's certainly running all the opposite directions.
Mr. President,
Yes.
if I could ask Ted really quickly, am I okay hearing this since it's going to come for a hearing?
Mr. President, Councilmember Little Roberts, that thought was just going through my head, and I'd hate to ask you to leave the room, but
I was thinking I probably should.
yeah,
Oh, I'm done talking about it anyways.
well,
Because I can just pop in here.
oh, they're having their union negotiations in there, so.
Ooh,
Guess I won't.
no, you won't be going in there either.
That might be interesting. I
We
could
can
pop in there.
just wave you back in from the hall. I don't know what the commission's pleasure is as far as discussing, or if you just want to make your own research and show up at the hearing, and let everybody hear about it at the same time. That's the basis of the question that Councilmember Little Roberts was asking, is that we encourage the council members, if it's important for one to hear, they should all hear it, and it's more efficient to have them all hear it at the same time. If she did happen to be in the room, all she'd have to do is say, I was there, this was discussed, I didn't say anything, so it's all good.
Okay.
This is one of those places in procedure where we may, or you may need to say, we need to be included the minute an application for development is approved or is applied for, so that we have a chance to put input.
And I get the notifications, and I try to look at all of them to see if there's an impact. And I saw this one, and I guess, and it's too late now to do anything about it, but they must have got a permit from the city to be able to demo that building prior to approval.
Maybe not.
I don't know.
It's one of those things where this commission needs to be included at the beginning rather than at the bottom.
Right,
Mr. President,
Mr. Everett.
I know, because I just did demo work in Old Town, that a private property owner, and I went to the city and asked them before I demoed my 80-year-old garage, detached garage at 303 East State Avenue.
Did you get photographic evidence of what was going on?
If you would like a picture of that garage, I do in fact have a picture for Lila too, inside and outside. I don't know how we can efficiently insert ourselves into a P&Z kind of thing. I think from a notification standpoint, to Hillary's point, which is we should probably carefully consider, because it's building time right now and stuff's flying, like, you know, maybe we put a not to exceed, you know, amount that we can spend to get some photographs. Like I'm fine with us wanting to take photographs and capture things. I think I don't see how as a commission we could insert ourselves into the chop chain of these things. Like we just don't. I don't know that we have the expertise or the cycles or anything to, you know, be a chop in that loop to review those things. I think that I think it's appropriate for us to see those things that are. Yeah, I think we need to be notified, absolutely, and then be given, you know, enough time. The whole demo thing's really interesting because I fully expected to need a demo permit and I didn't. So like I had that thing down in a day. So that's. Yeah, well. I think for us, the bigger loss is that, you know, like I just looked at the aerial maps of that farm on Linder and Ustick. It's hard to tell whether it was historic or not. It doesn't look like it. But being able to grab some of these photos when they are, in fact, a historic farmhouse, like I would just hate to see those things get, you know, leveled because it just wasn't. And I don't think, and I'm a developer, if I was given a notification as part of the process that, hey, if you have a historic property, the Historic Preservation Commission of Meridian would like the opportunity to snap a photo of that, you know, and that, like, I would let it, and like if somebody wanted a picture of that garage I tore down, I don't care if people come and take a picture of it. I think where it gets sticky is that there's something more than a notification where we want to be able to offer comment that we would like to see. You know.
We'd like to at least have a photo of it.
Yeah.
Or at least put in a requirement they send a photo on.
Yeah, and I do like the idea. I just don't know how we execute on this. I do like the idea where, and this is not a really great example, but I'll share it anyways. Like the Main and Broadway project, like we. You know, did the design work. Now, I did the design work, so I wanted to make sure it looked like downtown Meridian. But the only people that saw that were City Council and Meridian Development Corp. So Historic Preservation Commission didn't get to look at those plans. Yeah, not that I care what you think, and I say that with all peace and love, but at least an ability for this commission to go, hey, I like that you use brick facade. You know, I know that one of the one of the features that was really important. Now these are not, you know, historic buildings, but like maybe there was a feature, there was some arch that was used on windows that have you thought about using that in your design just to offer comment? Like, I think that that would be great to be able to do that. I just don't know how we do that.
Right. Work in progress.
A work in progress. I think notifications and pictures is a great first step. And with that, you can let Ann in. I don't know that we're gonna.
Something is already being done, we're just not gonna look it up.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So Hillary, do I need to like, do we, because we're not gonna probably drop this RFP until May, which means we're not gonna get a response back till June. So do we need to motion for some dollars?
If nothing else, I'm fine with sending out the RFP, but if we see something, if we can get a hold of the developer, I have a problem with me going over and snapping a few photos, digital pictures. They're not gonna be the quality of a
Well,
photographer.
how much did we spend with Jason? Was it $50 a property?
It was $50 a property, yeah.
I mean, I know Jason. Like, if we thought that 4 properties would cover this window of time, and we did a not to exceed $200. Now, we can have that kind of there, and we can obligate those monies. Not that we have to spend them. So if we think that either you or I can go over there and snap a decent picture, but if something really kind of historic ended up in the crosshairs, do we want to at least put a couple $100 on?
I have no problem with just a quickie until that RFP is out.
Yes.
Signed.
Until it's awarded.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So, Mr. President,
Commissioner Everett.
I motion that we approve a not to exceed amount of $200 to take photographs of historic properties that might be demolished between now and the time that our RFP is awarded for those services.
I second.
Motion by Commissioner Everett, second by Commissioner Landis, for expenditure not to exceed $200 to photograph historic properties that may be in danger of demolition between now and the time the RFP is filled. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All righty. Reports. 2017 annual report to City Council. We presented
I didn't do anything. I can't.
yeah, you made everything worthwhile. Annual report to City Council on what we've accomplished, what we're looking to do. City Council was thrilled with what we're doing.
Were they? Ann Little Roberts is right here. What were your thoughts on our presentation?
It was great. You guys do a wonderful job, and it is greatly appreciated.
So, like I told them, we have a great group of people on this commission, and it's a group effort by everybody. So thank you, everybody, for all your hard work that we do.
Volunteer lunch coming up. Always plugging.
So that's it. Children's Museum update. Ms. Jones had to leave, so she will give us an update next time.
Mr. President,
Mr. Everett.
I move we adjourn this meeting.
Next meeting is May 24th, 2018 at 4:30. Be here early if you can to help set up. Motion by, or do we have a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Everett, seconded by Commissioner Landis to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you so very much.
Oh, I love that. It's my whole mission to be out of order any chance I get.